This figure is not something you would call second breakfast. That makes absolutely no sense. Why would I put that in there? This figure is a fool of a toque. That one made a little more sense. Hello everyone, it is Briximus Prime, back for another action figure review, and today we're going to be reviewing the Diamond Select Toys Lord of the Rings Gandalf the Grey. And, yeah, I'm a big Lord of the Rings fan, and I've never really had a good excuse to really talk about it. And I do have some qualms and some complaints about this figure, but anyway, let's just get right on into the review by starting with that packaging. And now taking a look at the packaging, it says Lord of the Rings right there, front and center, with Gandalf and Sauron and Frodo right there. It says Gandalf Deluxe Action Figure. Here on the side, Lord of the Rings, and then at the top, it has the Diamond Select Toys logo right there. And then here on the back, it just shows Gandalf, and you can also get the Uruk-hai Orc, and some of the other figures you can also get in the wave. There's the bottom, and yeah, that is basically it for the packaging. And here is all the accessories that come with Gandalf. He comes with a nice healthy amount. He has his iconic hat right here, and it's got some nice molded in wrinkles and everything. Nice and pointy. Be careful with it. And, yeah. The hat does not stay on very well, so I had to use some sticky tack to make it stick onto his head. As that is one thing I do have a complaint about with this figure. He does also come with a satchel. It's got a nice sculpted in wrinkles and a slight dark wash to really pick out the details. And then it's got this nicely molded, pliable plastic rope here, which really does look authentic and feel authentic too, but I can tell it's made of plastic still. And this just will go on Gandalf, and then he's got his staff, which has some very nice paint, picking out all of the wooden details. I like how he's even got the nail in there, and he's got all this wood right here, the nails right there, and he's got this wash going all over the wood to really pick out those details. He has his sword, the faux hammer, painted up in some nice silver paint with some blue highlights there in the hilt. And then Gandalf comes with a pair of grabby hands, as well as a pair of open hands. And again, they're all nicely molded and sculpted and such. As for storing the accessories on Gandalf, as I said, the satchel is supposed to wrap around his head and just go around, sling over his shoulder. But there is no proper way to really get it around the hair, the cape, and everything. The head is not removable, so there's no way to get it completely under his arm like it actually is within the movies. And so that is a bit of an issue. You can fold it in under his beard to really get it out of the way, but it is very hard to get this in its proper position like it is in the movies. So just let that be aware, because it has to strap over the cape, but technically it's supposed to be under the cape. And then obviously the sword just goes into the sheath just like so. It's a bit of a loose fit, so make sure it doesn't fall out when you tip over the figure. And as I mentioned, the head is just completely, has no pegs or no little notches or anything for the hat to really fit in there. Without the sticky tack, it basically just falls off really easily. So because I have the sticky tack in there, it really sticks in there and actually stays on. So that is a bit of a complaint that I had with Gandalf. And taking a look at Gandalf here, I really like the way how the head came out. I mean, it looks close enough to the actor, Ian McKellen. The sculpting in the actual face could have been done a little bit better. I think his eyes could have been picked out a little bit more cleaner. I think Hasbro and some other companies have done a better job at painting up eyes. The eyebrows look fine, and the nose and the sculpting is good. I just think the paint was laid on just a little too heavily, or it wasn't really as precise. But the beard looks awesome. I love how it's in this light gray, whitish color, but then they have this black wash going over it. Sorry, I hit the tripod. And it really picks out a lot of the details, even coming down to the hair. I like how there's the wash that really picks out those extra details. And all throughout the rest of the figure, he is cast in this greenish, grayish plastic, which then has this gray paint wash going over it to pick out all of those little etches and molded details all throughout. And again, I like the blue here on the sheath here with some nice highlights of silver. This part is made out of a pliable material. The rest of this is molded on there. And the blue on the sheath looks really nice on for the faux hammer. The cape is made out of a gray plastic, which has the same light grayish wash going over it. The tips have this yellow, making it as if it's stained by mud. Same thing goes for the little skirt pieces here. And again, molding is very nice. He's got his boots down there, and he's got his pants, but they don't really have that much to say in terms of detail other than the wrinkles. Going over the poseability, this is where the figure really suffers. His poseability is not all that great. The head can barely move from side. The head can barely move from side to side ever so slightly, and to my knowledge, the head is not removable, so there's no way to pop the head off and get this properly on there. It's because of the way how the cape is sculpted, this shoulder does not move up as far, but this one can move up farther. The shoulders can move outward that far, and no bicep swivel, but he does get a swivel at the elbow, bend at the elbow. All the wrists hinge in and out, and his wide open hands hinge up and down like so. He does get a waist swivel, nice swivel at the waist, which does allow for a very subtle arcing back and not that much a crunch, but subtle arcing back. Not really any diaphragm pivot. The sheath is on a pliable material, sometimes it gets in the way. The hips can move forward not that far, mostly because they're getting hindered by this skirt piece. This one can kick out a little bit more. Bend at the knee, which bends about 90 degrees, and then the ankles can hinge up and down, and he has very nice ankle pivot and peg holes at the bottom of the feet. So overall, the poseability on Gandalf is rather limited. So yeah, the poseability on Gandalf is rather very, very limited. It makes this guy seem, but the painting and detail is so well sculpted and done that it makes this figure come across more like a statue than he really is an actual action figure. And that's my main point about this figure that I really don't like. I wish he was that little bit more posable than he was than he is now, because he feels very stiff that I could barely even get him into any pose other than just standing there. I would still say that the Gandalf figure here is a good size. Here he is compared with the other two Diamond Select Toys figures I reviewed, the Diamond Select Toys Iron Giant and the Diamond Select Toys or Marvel Select Taskmaster. And the difference between Gandalf and these figures is these two were actually really fun and highly articulated. But because of this guy's cape and a lot of his parts making him so limited, it makes him stand out that much more. And that is basically it for my review on the Diamond Select Toys Gandalf. And yeah, this figure was very underwhelming, especially for the price that I got it for. I mean, like, this figure was almost like $30, I think. Yeah, this figure was like, I paid $25 for it, so technically $26, but it was almost $30. And I honestly don't feel like I really got my money's worth out of that figure. I paid $30 for the Iron Giant, and that figure was way worth more than $30. And be sure to check out that review if you missed out on it, who hasn't. And yeah, I just can't help. I want to love this figure, but the fact that this figure just has such limited articulation and just has so much hindering it, it just makes me not able to enjoy it as much as I wanted to. This figure has so limited articulation that it basically is just a statue. I'd rather see a Gandalf figure, maybe even handled by Figma or SH Figuarts, something like that, where it's like or maybe even something from McFarlane Toys later on, like, you know, something just a little bit more posable, or even Hasbro, for crying out loud. But overall, I think the figure is okay. I mean, if you don't mind having a figure in just a static pose, then you could get this one, but in my opinion, I would rather have a figure that's a lot more posable. So in my opinion, I give this figure a solid 4 out of 10. I don't want to be too harsh on it because I still love Gandalf and I love Lord of the Rings, but this figure just does not really suffice that need that I want for a Lord of the Rings figure, especially for one of my favorite characters, such as Gandalf. So anyway, that is basically it for this review. If you guys enjoyed the review, be sure to give me a like on the video. Let me know what you guys think down below in the comments, and subscribe to the channel for more Lord of the Rings action figure or Diamond Select Toys reviews. And, yeah, I'll catch you guys next time.
Fool of a took!